This property was burnt out about 2 weeks ago by bushfire. Now what we're trying to do today is go through with the keyline plough, and rather than having a heap of rain which is due to come soon, today or tomorrow, wash all this topsoil and what's left of the ash away, what we're trying to do now is to deep rip, get that water down nice and deep, and start to promote root growth by getting that water down deep, and start to really secure the base on the top of this grassland here and recover some of the pastures. So this is the single bar yeoman's plough. So the idea of this really is to get deep into the ground. Now we're only going about maybe 5 to 10 inches at the moment, depending on where the area is. Maybe 100 to 150 millimeters just down to get down to break the compaction. So the idea of this is it goes down and shatters the ground up. The coulters come through and they actually go through and well, hasn't got any grass here at the moment, but it would actually, in a normal situation, go through and cut the grass and cut the soil and provide a nice clean opening for the back of the shank or the front of the shank to go through and open the ground up. So really what happens is as this goes into the ground, it lifts the ground up, like the earth sort of breathing, breaks those compaction layers, and allows water to penetrate and get down deep. So this is the result of the ripping as such. We've got down around about 150 to 200 millimeters, which is just basically to that compaction layer we were talking about. So it's opened it up, it's going to allow now the water to penetrate through here, and you've already seen the profile. That's after last night's rain. We've got down about 75 millimeters into the ground. What's going to happen now is once this rain comes through for the rest of this week, it'll actually get down nice and deep in the ground. It'll allow those roots to follow that water down, and in theory over time, once those roots get down deeper, it should be cooler and more moist, and work on the basis of drought proofing the farm over time with the use of cattle. So once we've gone through the plough is just basically the introduction to get the ground, the biology and the water down deep, and then from there we'll actually introduce animals as through a system of time managed grazing to actually do what we're doing here with the plough, but use animals and biology to do exactly the same thing. Just to explain a bit about the set out here, so what we've done, we've located roughly the key line in the paddock. So from that key line we'll disregard, that'll be the contour we work to. Then from there we'll disregard all other contour lines and we'll plough parallel to this line down the paddock. So what that'll do, it'll again catch a lot of that water coming down off the top of the hill, allow it to soak and penetrate, and then have I suppose an effect down below that to sequester that water and get the grass growing and get the roots down nice and deep too. Within permaculture design, I'm sort of branching more out into regenerative farm design, so I suppose following the footsteps of people like P.O. Yeomans, Darren Doherty, working a lot with Jeff Lawton now on different projects around Australia. I travel Australia looking at farm setups, so small farm setups to the bigger broadacre setups, looking at I suppose the mainframe design, and even branching more out into more of the polycultural type farm setups of intensive animal systems, how those systems function. I go right from consultancy through to design, and then implementation, so the actual construction of the property itself on the ground, working with the clients, and even looking at the financial side of things too, because I think it's important that we look at and consider the financial viability of these projects, not just design for design's sake, but we actually look at the social, economical, and the environmental, the ecological effects of what we're doing, and those four things really have to balance, because without one you can't have the other. I mean, you can have beautiful, pristine environment, but if it's not returning the surplus back into making a profit for the farm through the sale of animals or as meat and vegetables and things, then that whole, I suppose, loop of and cycle of the farm isn't what you define as being sustainable, because you haven't closed, I suppose, you haven't taken all those things into account in making the farm viable. Other things that I do a lot of teaching. We've just set up the Permaculture Exchange here in the southern region of New South Wales, and more so into Canberra, where we're focusing on education as a primary thing, but both in urban and also peri-urban and rural too. Through that, we'll be looking at bringing on designers from the area, and also inviting in other permaculturists to come in and teach, so that we can then start to take this out into, I suppose, the masses, and to become, I suppose, a bit more mainstream than the alternative that it is.